I grew up in a little small hemlock place called Gravel Hill, Arkansas. Well, I grew up there, and I grew up in northern Louisiana. All of my relatives came out of southeast Arkansas and northern Louisiana, although they started out in this place here in New Orleans and went up the river. Some of them migrated across the river from Mississippi. I didn't really think a whole lot about who and what I was because I was sort of like a number in the middle of a bunch of brothers and sisters. 10 brothers and sisters, 5 brothers and 5 sisters. Typical family that had farmed and worked for a long time in the Mississippi Delta, which includes Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana. So relatives in all those places there that had come here. And, we heard a lot of stories, and I was always especially excited to come down in the summer. We came and visited, often in the fall. When I was a kid, all my relatives were still picking cotton, growing sweet potatoes, sugar cane. So often my parents would get a call and they would say, "Yeah, Willie," that was my dad, "come on down and bring all your children." That meant they were gonna work us to death. And along with that, though, there was also, as I look back on it and think about it, there was a lot of things that have always stuck with me. A lot of music, tremendous amount of music was coming out of churches. Some of them were small little churches like you see on the side of the highway in the Delta. Others were tents. Tent revival was huge this time of year. And so I had relatives that were in the Baptist church as well as Pentecostal church. Pentecostal church, crazy about tent revivals. They would have 2 solid weeks of revival. And the toughest part about being in a tent revival was the mosquitoes. To try and sit still in an all-night service. The preacher's crowing, he's jumping up and down, the choir's singing, they're playing music. Sanctified churches also, they weren't just churches that had an organ or a piano playing. They had to have an excellent drummer. It was usually some young man always playing drums that had been trained specifically to play these rhythms that would induce the Holy Spirit, which I'll give you an example of in a minute. But along with that, trumpet, saxophone, trombones, every instrument that could make a joyful noise, they used it in the church, especially during the tent revivals, because it was sort of a showcase of what you could do with the Holy Spirit. And so those rhythms became rhythms that were like ingrained in me, basically the metronome for who you are, and you don't really think about it and know it, you're just a part of it. So oh, brotherly John is gone. 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 How you know, Sister Sally, she told me so. Rock away, children, rock away, children, in the bosom of Abraham. Brotherly John is gone. Oh, brotherly John is gone. Sister Sally, she brought the letter. Sister Sally, she brought the news. Rock away, children, rock away, children, in the bosom of Abraham. Brotherly John is gone. They rocked the house all night long with those rhythms. Later, I learned that we weren't the only ones doing it. You don't know when you're a child because it feels like it's all there and it's just for you. But I learned that it was a regional sound that had really helped to shape the music of what was in the birth of the Mississippi Delta and down through South Louisiana as well. It was all in this big region here, and everyone was using dancing and singing to those same rhythmic patterns there. And it became so important to me to understand how you could use that and other musical concepts and contexts outside of a tent revival out in the middle of Arkansas City or in Bastrop, Louisiana, Mer Rouge, Louisiana, that it was something that could actually be transferred into a lot of different styles of music.